Eric, thank you for taking the time. If you mind just quickly introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Eric Tegelier. I'm accountable for our application development, maintenance, and technology architecture here at Marriott. I've been here, hard to believe, already 6 years. Relocated to the DC area to take this opportunity at Marriott. I actually grew up in Chicago and spent most of my time in the financial services industry, so this is my first turn in the hospitality vertical.
You had a massive milestone achieved in February and even before that in November with T-Bob, O-Bob, now what is Bonvoy. So firstly, many congratulations on that massive achievement. How do you see, now that you've achieved this massive milestone and integration being largely complete, it never is, how do you see Marriott's transformation roadmap progressing from here?
Absolutely. If we think about what we did achieve, and if we think about when we obviously started our integration journey, we hired a number of consultants who had been active in the M&A space and asked a number of them what we should expect, and almost all of them said at our scale and at our complexity that we should expect an integration effort of 5 to 7 years, and that we would expect a rational amount of revenue loss during the period just because of the disruption associated to this. And those were parameters that frankly we could not accept. And so we set upon ourselves a very aggressive journey of completing our integration in 2 years, and not just suffering revenue, but ultimately we wanted to grow revenue through this. We added into that the complexity of creating the largest loyalty program in the travel industry. We are over 125 million members of the combined Bonvoy program. So launching what we called our Loyalty Day One, converting 1,700 hotels onto a new reservation ecosystem in 4 months. If we think about that was about 26, 27 months worth of work. As I tell my team often, it is probably the largest and most complex single activity that anyone will do in their careers. And so as such, it's a tremendous achievement, not without its bumps. Not without its challenges. However, if we take a step back and think about what we have achieved, we look at it in 2 ways. Number one, we were really able to accelerate a lot of our innovation through integration. So in a number of ways, we basically said we had innovation programs underway when we started on our integration journey, and we doubled down on them and said, let's not roll out the current system. Let's push hard to complete the journey on our innovation and use that as the basis for integration. Now that set some hard dependencies on, we have to finish these programs in order to do that, but we were able to do that, and so ultimately actually integration accelerated a number of our innovation goals, which was fantastic, and I think again we're farther ahead, frankly, because of that. But now coming out after we've completed the launch of the Bonvoy program, we're now circling back to here's a number of things that we've been wanting to get to for a while, had been pushed a little bit to the back of the line with integration, and we just didn't want to incubate a new innovation program while we were doing the integration. And so therefore, we are now starting to see several new innovation programs starting up to modernize areas of the company where we have not yet dug deep. And so I track 8 major technology areas of the company. Very happy to say in our journey, 4 of those 8 areas are completely modernized and rewritten within the last 3 years. 2 more are in progress, with 2 more left to go. And so if we think about that of 3 to 4 years, maybe a couple more years to get this all done, that we will essentially have rewritten completely from the ground up the main technical components of a $40 to $50 billion Fortune 100 company is an amazing journey for our team, and obviously an amazing achievement for our partners like Sapient.
Right. Do you see your journey from a technology standpoint of transformation completing, well, never completes, but do you see that big transformation journey completing with retirement of Marcia?
The Marcia being our reservations capability, Marcia is a powerhouse of this company, has essentially powered this company's growth for decades. and is universally seen, I think, within the industry as the best, the cheapest, the most efficient, effective reservations capability in the hospitality industry. However, it is also old. And we also know that we're moving into places where we absolutely do want to modernize it. It is one of our core areas. We are actually farther than I think many people do know. In our modernization, we have our new ERS platform that is up, launched at almost 1,000 hotels, and is frankly revolutionizing how we do bookings. Again, normally you might have less than 20 room products in a full service hotel. The ERS platform lets you have essentially unlimited, but many hotels have 200 to 300 types of rooms for sale now at our full service hotels, which really gives the guest a tremendous amount of choice around how they consume our products, how they enjoy our products. So we think that that's just a phenomenal opportunity. That is one of the, we're actually in progress in it. That is one of the areas where we need to continue to do more innovation. But there are other areas as well where we are continuing to innovate. We are looking hard at our property management systems around what we can do to continue to pull through all these great benefits that are and engagement points that are happening in the digital space, and how do we pull them into property. That includes what we are doing with our guest room entertainment and smart room technology. We have some pilots going on around IoT in guest rooms. We have smart TVs going in. We're working on virtual digital assistants. And so if you look at it across a number of areas, that we've done a tremendous amount of modernization in our cloud architectures. We're now driving deeper and deeper into the properties around how do we modernize the tech on those sites. When we started modernizing our mobile app 3 years ago, and we moved from an MDAP platform into our native apps that we have today for iOS and Android, a lot of the focus was on essentially the booking experience. If you look at our apps now, with where we've gone beyond that to transform them from a booking tool to being our mantra for our mobile apps is the perfect travel companion. And we think about all the things that we've put into the apps to help you understand where you should go get food while you are traveling, to help connect with the front desk around activities that you want to perform while you're on, to engage with valet, with bell, with concierge, to essentially just engage with the properties outside of anything else. Really making it, again, your digital assistant in your travel journey, as opposed to just purely something to manage your reservations. We've taken that modernized platform and then we've driven it into something that is dramatically different. In doing so, we'll pick on the mobile app. The rating in the app stores have gone way up. Downloads continue to accelerate, and that just drives even more revenue because obviously our audience just continues to grow. So modernizing a platform is the key first step. But then once we're through that, creating the agility, the velocity to empower the innovation agenda. We modernize not to save costs, frankly. Obviously that's a tangential benefit that we seek. We modernize to create the flexibility to meet our strategic goals. And that really comes with the follow-on innovation once the modernization is completed.
How do you see data being used to power the next steps of transformation at Marriott?
So I'm a little bit of a zealot on this space. For those who don't know my background, I actually led product development both at Nielsen and at Experian at prior stops in my career journey. So I learned the value of data very early. I also learned the discipline of data, because frankly, data is an incredibly powerful tool if used well, but also something that could be used for the wrong purposes. It requires a tremendous amount of discipline to use appropriately. When I joined the organization in 2013, that was one of the first things that I actually did. Because our data team was essentially part of another team. And I thought it was so important that in 2014 I actually created a separate enterprise data team. Obviously handed over our traditional enterprise data warehouse capabilities, but specifically chartered them to start thinking about data as an asset. as opposed to the traditional enterprise data warehouse and reporting capability. I hired somebody who had a tremendous amount of experience in this. He has built a fantastic team. And we, in 2015, launched our cloud data lake powered by Hadoop. And today that environment has over 0.5 petabyte of data in it. And so we have grown from enterprise data warehouses that had tens of terabytes to an enterprise cloud data lake that has hundreds of terabytes in it. We are now looking at another evolution in that cloud journey, partially powered by the fact that the success of the first platform was phenomenal. We implemented a capability using a SQL emulation on top of Hadoop to essentially expose the Hadoop datasets directly to our business consumers. We estimated that there would be 50 to 100 people in the building that would want to, or across the world, that would want to directly access the Hadoop cluster using SQL as their primary access. We have over 1,200 users of that platform today. Surprisingly, shockingly perhaps in some areas, driven by our continent growth of people who frankly had always been served up canned reports. And that was the limitation of how they could study and measure their business. And instead accessing raw information, raw transformed information, and being able to get very near real-time data around how specific hotels are performing, how different consumer segments are performing, how loyalty is performing in their regions, in their markets, is driven just tremendous growth, to the point that we are undergoing another renovation of that platform to separate compute from data. So that we can let the data continue to grow, let the compute continue to grow. Our first iteration had those more conjoined. The next iteration essentially separates those two to allow us to get into the types of analytics that we need. We've done things in the past few years that we never were able to do in the past. But the analog that I give the team in chartering them on this new renovation project is it used to take us a month to run a complex analysis 6-7 years ago. Today we can run that complex analysis in a day. We want to be able to run 100 of those complex analyses a day. And so that's the next iteration that we are seeking, is how do we get to a platform, a process, a governance structure, a density of data in the data lake that essentially allows us to fully empower the organization with access to information. I think, again, we've made huge strides in what we've done to date. But we also know, because as one of the largest B2C companies in the world, data is so important to us. We actually believe that we need to have one of the best data architectures in the world. And so therefore we are again investing to double down and again build what we believe is going to be a leading edge data capability for Marriott.
Right. On the data topic, you have Publicis Media, who supports you today as part of the global media efforts for Marriott. We are very proud of that achievement. There's a lot of data that Publicis brings as part of its media engagement. Publicis sits on about 200 different data sources with close to a petabytes of data that they process every month through those data sources, which brings a tremendous amount of third-party data of about 100+ million customers here in the US and a lot more globally. How do you see the value of that data into your overall data transformation?
It's absolutely critical. So if we think about the fact that our data lake has essentially been doubling about every 12 to 15 months. That while Marriott throws off a lot of information, in reality, much of that is also third-party information that we do get from our partners. And so, one of our core goals, one of the charters I've given the team is, I never want to throw data away. And so therefore, I actually want it to be more expensive to delete data than it is to keep it. And so that was one of the core precepts of the strategy that we've gone down. We absolutely do need to, are today, and need to continue to expand the third-party data that we are bringing in. And so I think that is a critical part of our expansion and enrichment of our data to do that. But another one of the big things that we are doing with our revenue management capability is that our revenue management system used to be a separate system that had all of our demand forecast, all of our cancellation forecast, all of our pricing data. That was in a separate data environment from our consumer data. And which of course made no sense to me. And so we've actually spent a lot of time now that we are converging those things to bringing that data into the enterprise data lake as well, which now gives us huge power around our consumer analyses. Now actually can start thinking about demand forecasts in their analytics, or our revenue leaders can actually have the power of our shopping data, not just our demand forecast when determining pricing. So that with obviously external data like Publicis data, again, this is an area I think you mentioned earlier on. This is an area where we don't see us where we're going to stop investing. Data right now is actually the single largest investment in my team. If you were to go across all my teams, we spend more more dollars on data technology right now than we are in any other area. And I can only continue to see that increase as time goes on. In terms of where we're going next, the lesson that I've learned from all three of those things is the change management part of innovation. I have underestimated how difficult it is in my role as an evangelist for change, of the time and energy spent to help explain and educate and evangelize. We're going to do things differently. And not only is that okay, but that's going to be a benefit, that's going to be an advantage, that's going to be a competitive differentiator. That is one of the things that I have to spend more time in the future, especially as we start getting into some core capabilities like our core res capability as we get into our property management systems across 7,000 hotels. That's a huge undertaking in terms of changing the jobs of hundreds of thousands of people. So I think, again, as we continue to push on our change agenda, it becomes much less about technology change and much more about organizational change.
So shifting gears a little bit and getting into the partnership you have with Publicis Group and in more particular, but Publicis Sapient, what do you think are the top three strengths that you've seen delivered as part of our partnership? And in the same breath, what do you think are sort of the top three areas that we should focus more on in order to step up our game?
The first thing, and I would, that I would bring up, and I bring up every time somebody comes and asks around. So what's Publicis Sapient doing? Number one is the people. So we continue to be incredibly impressed with the caliber of talent and the commitment that those resources bring. So absolutely love the resources, love the people, love the culture within Publicis that essentially attracts and retains that type of talent that you can bring it to partners like Marriott. So that's a core strength that we really appreciate. We greatly value the industry insights that you bring. There are plenty of companies out there willing to give us qualified technicians at low prices. What they lack is the industry insights, not just, and this isn't even specific to hospitality or travel, but as we further digitize our business, this is how other leading companies are thinking about their digital businesses and how they are leveraging technology to further their business causes. So the fact that Sapient continues to be a thought leader within Marriott and bringing ideas to us and helping educate us is the true statement of a partner as opposed to a vendor. I always say that a vendor does what I tell them to do. A partner tells me when I'm wrong. And Sapient absolutely rises to that challenge to tell me when I'm wrong and to help educate me about that, which I absolutely appreciate. The last part is commitment. When Sapient comes and says they're going to do something, I never have to go back and ask for more commitment to ensure that it gets done. When Sapient comes and signs a contract and says we're going to go do this, you're all in to make sure that it gets done, and that goes down from your executives down to each and every person on the account that you are committed to getting it done. And so again, that's not present in every company that we partner with, and so again, I highly appreciate that, and I thank you and the team for all of the work you've done on that. As we look at where Sapient started their engagement, it was in the digital space, which I think makes a lot of sense and aligns with a lot of Sapient's core competencies and experiences. But as we move our architecture forward and basically say everything is digital, and essentially move to, again, a microservice API-based architecture as we roll out the change across the 4 platforms that have not yet fully migrated. We sit there and say these architectures are essentially the same as we don't even think about them as web architectures anymore. We essentially say this is now our enterprise stack, where we talk about Nginx going down to APIs going down to microservices, going down to resource tier services, talking to core systems. So as we fully rise up that change from the bottom of the stack all the way to the top, the technology patterns that we are pursuing essentially look a lot like what we've implemented in the digital space. And so ultimately, Sapient obviously penetrated in digital, but has now tremendous opportunity to bring that knowledge, those insights, the talent, the commitment, to areas that frankly probably don't, historically would have looked like, well, this is a digital opportunity. Well, in the future, isn't every single system an online system? Isn't every single system a cloud system? Isn't every single system following our core reference architectures, our core tech stacks? And so therefore, I think there's a lot of opportunity for Sapient in areas that might be considered non-traditional. But as the technologies modernize, they start looking a lot like other platforms that probably look a lot like where Sapient has expertise today. The opportunity, I think, for Sapient, and again, I think you've done a great job to date, and I think there's more opportunity out there, is to, again, bring to us things that are not perhaps obvious as being, this is an analog, but ultimately helping us understand, well, this company's doing that. And they're in a different vertical and perhaps in a slightly different thing, but you know what? This pattern looks a lot like the pattern that you have. And this is a radically different technology approach, a radically different business process approach. And we think this company did, we helped this company kind of do this. And while this is a non-competitive space, but we think that this has a lot of applicability to how Marriott should think about that. So again, I just got out of a meeting around our res capabilities, and one of the core things we are doing as part of moving away from Marcia is rethinking how reservation management is done, how we manage inventory, how we manage rates, how we handle pricing constraints, how we handle demand constraints. Now, the challenge for this organization is, Marcia being over 30 years old, is everybody who has been here for years grew up understanding the business process through Marcia. They don't know reservations as a core capability, because if you've been here for 10, 15, 20 years, the only res system we've ever had was Marcia. And so therefore, their thinking is constrained by their understanding of the system. One of the core challenges we have is we don't want to rebuild Marcia. We have a reservation system that does what Marcia does. We want to build a reservation system for the next decade. That reservation system is going to have capabilities that Marcia doesn't have. Some of those capabilities we don't even know we need yet, because frankly we've never thought that we've needed them, because we've always been lumbering under the assumption of, well, that can't happen because it's ridiculously expensive to have Marcia do that, so let's not even contemplate that. I think Sapient has the opportunity to come in and say, you know what? We understand reservations is somewhat unique, but you know what? There's an order management system for this e-commerce company that looks a lot like it. If you take away a lot of the specifics of the business process, this process flow looks a lot like our booking path, looks a lot like our reservation capability. What lessons can we learn? What new innovations, what new thought processes can we learn to help us unlearn some of kind of the sacred truths that we hold so evident around, well, we have to do it this way, don't we? This is the way it has to work. I think Sapient has the opportunity to walk in different areas and say, you know what? We would love to push your thinking on this. We would love to introduce you to some other people who perhaps are going to help you understand, again, in a non-competitive vertical, how they've rethought what they've done and how that may be applicable for Marriott. We do that all the time across a number of areas. I think it is, we look to strategic partners like Sapient to help open those doors and frankly open our eyes to the opportunity that sometimes we don't see just because we are so close to Marriott that we do not see the forest for the trees. but we would love to understand, here's where you're pushing the envelope. You're helping other companies push the envelope. Marriott has a desire, and frankly, we are pushing hard to be a very technology-forward company. That doesn't happen if we stay inside of our four walls.
Right.
And so therefore, that is one of the reasons why we partner with somebody like a Sapient as opposed to another company who perhaps might give us a cheaper offshore rate. Is we are looking for a strategic partner, a strategic thought leader, someone who will come and tell us, Eric, you're not thinking about this the right way. We would like to challenge you. We'd like to give you some information perhaps you don't have, some insight you don't have, because we think there's a better future for Marriott if you would think about things this way. I would absolutely encourage you. I think Sapient has a tremendous opportunity in that space, and we are very open to it.
Fantastic. Eric, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Again, and I want to thank you very much for the partnership for Sapient. It is very much appreciated, and please cascade to the team how much we appreciate all the work they do.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.